Thank you, Dennis. That's a good segue because one can look at this, well, we've just seen the model that we've been able to produce here and the evidence I think that we've gathered and say it's hopeless. You know, there's no way to get from where we are to where we want to be. Schools are not listening. Legislators are too distracted. There's not enough money, not funding in the program. I guess I'm at the point in my career where I'm saying, the hell with it. We have to find a way to get this done now. And if it takes extra effort on all our parts, then it's going to have to take extra effort on all our parts. I think that we need to be able to bring home, though, that there is real evidence that what we are doing counts. It is the way to jobs in the 21st century, and we are falling desperately behind other countries. On the stage of the Crest Theater last week, we had Mark Otero, who runs a multi-million-dollar company, video game company here in Sacramento, who comes from amongst us, who said, I have to hire people from across the world, not because it's cheaper, because it isn't. It's more expensive for me. Factor in training, but because their kids are not being taught what they need to know in terms of job skills. I'd like to put our thinking caps on. Dennis started us off. What can we do to make the change, to find that traction? I mean, how many more models are we going to prove that what we do works? I think we've proven it. You know, my point is, you heard the kids, you heard the teachers, you saw the product, you heard the nonprofits. So now what? Who can take on the task of funding and organizing this effort and making sure that media literacy, digital media is in every school in our county?
Maybe I'll jump in and would love to hear from some of the other panelists. I feel like we almost need to broaden the conversation slightly about the kind of education being provided within our schools. And I think Matt mentioned this concept of linked learning. He and I were on a tour of 3 high schools across the Sacramento area, building career technical academies, I think I got that right, where you're connecting actually the curriculum to a destination in the workforce. And I feel like, and you know, again, this is just my opinion, but to really see that traction and that movement that Dennis talked about is, you know, building the partnerships in this educational movement and making sure that your, you know, the digital arts is part of that conversation because other people are working on reforming education systems. So I think it's you know, we do have our priorities, and you know, digital arts is this priority, but you have to be part of those conversations at a broader level to make sure that you're part of those, you know, conversations when state policy is being negotiated, or even at the district level, you know, the school board is contemplating doing something different with their structure, their curriculum, and what's going on in their high school. So, but I would like to hear what the other panelists have to say.
You know, I think a couple things are important. From my perspective, and I'm only new to city government, I've been in the nonprofit world for many, many years, and in the school district for a while before that. But I'm 6 months into the government world, and what I think is what I'm learning is that you need to go top down and bottom up at the same time. So, for example, the mayor has brought together a city-school partnership, and many of the school districts in the area are working with city agencies to think through some of these big issues about reading, about curriculum, about partnerships, and that's going to be a place where this discussion needs to happen, definitely. But at the same time, the idea of getting young people to get involved, having mobile film schools that go from school to school or from after-school club to after-school club, somehow or another we're going to have to do both, to be able to think about moving things forward on a systemic level and on a chaotic level at the same time. Get that groundswell to take the champions like you all and have you be successful and have you be visible and have you spur other people to be champions as well.
Yes, thank you for saying that, because I think Bill and I, if we have stood for anything over these years, it's to do both. You know, top down, try to build policy at level, either locally or at the state level or nationally, and at the same time work at the school level where the kids are, and to build the programs bottom up. And hopefully, you know, the two will mesh. We all realize that, you know, and Matt, you know, certainly you're in a school district that is as stressed as any school district I know about. Is there anything inside SAC Unified that we could do? I loved your, of course, your policy issue about the requirements. Short of banging our legislators over the head with a hammer, what other things could we be talking about doing at the local level? What could SAC Unified do to implement this kind of program?
Well, I think something I learned in Sierra Health Foundation has this great leadership program that teaches you how to activate change in community. And one thing I learned was about how to develop power bases out in the community. And so the other day we opened a brand new law academy at McClatchy High School for young people who traditionally are underrepresented in law. And there's a fantastic group of partners behind this. And when we were building the curriculum, a very prominent lawyer from an international law firm here in Sacramento, they have an office in Sacramento, he said, Matt, I need young people who can develop phenomenal media presentations. Because we're winning and losing cases on the presentation. And I thought, wow, you know? But it underscores maybe part of the solution is to develop a coalition of business who need the media, who maybe we aren't thinking about being part of the effort, to push locally to say, we need young people who can do these skill sets. And that's why we need a graduation requirement. And so at a local level, one local board can tip a scale. And if you have a graduation requirement at one school district, then the rest of the school districts around it may change. They're very, you know, they're kind of like farmers where they're competing and everybody needs to have the latest thing. But if somebody doesn't tip one requirement, then there you are. If you have a media requirement at a school district, then you could end up with more young people coming to your school district to go to school. It's a competitive environment. So I would say that, you know, actually maybe building a broader based coalition of business behind this would be a good idea. And, you know, really we're talking about enhancing the educational achievement and career preparation and a wide variety of opportunities for young people. It stretches way beyond specific. If we defined media literacy in a very, very small, narrow fashion, it would be far beyond that in terms of the collaboration skills and all of the sorts of rich, wonderful, you know, time management skills and all sorts of things that the young people said today about what they got out of this, let alone the empathy that they developed. So I think that, you know, building a stronger coalition of related but yet rather powerful groups around it could help.
Right. The two basic things our board charged us with this year was to complete this project and do an evaluation. And the second was to build the case for a workforce study in this region, because what your face is, and we've talked about this, and, you know, forensic law is one of the biggest users of digital animation that there is. And, you know, in fact, courts are going to doing away with court reporters and going to videographers now. So there's this whole burgeoning industry around law, forensic law. And when you look around, you find out that you know, law people we've dealt with said, where are these guys? Give them to me, because we can't find people who can make those cases. And in fact, one lawyer told me that, you know, it's almost dependent upon the better videographer makes the better case. And so we are trying to do just that. But what happens is when you go to the community college system, for example, which is the access point between you know, school and work, is that they say, we don't find the jobs. And I said, well, why? They seem apparent to me. And they said, because the Department of Labor Statistics don't have a digital media category. And that's the one thing that we've been working for. Bill and I have stressed over and over again that you can't get the community college committed until you prove to them that the jobs exist. And you can't prove that point until you do a workforce study, because there is no catch basket for digital media. We're about out of time. So Dennis, I'll give you one of the last words here. Is there nothing that the legislature can do while they're being distracted this year?
No, to the contrary. I think the good news is that we have a powerful ally and champion in Senator Steinberg, who of course is our local senator, but he's also President Pro Tem of the Senate. And long ago, he recognized that our dropout rate, to no small extent, can be traced to the disaffection that young people feel about the relevancy about the programs, curriculum that they're dealing with day after day. And so these career tech academies, which he envisioned and has fueled to some extent with money, have grown up all over, where there's a clear nexus between student interest and employment opportunities out there in the area of media arts and forensics and so many other things. So I think we need to continue to work very closely with this champion who recognizes that he's got this amazing school district here in his district, already is aboard on this concept, and what we need to do is find more opportunities for private and public partnerships, fueled in some cases by the good graces of our local foundations and that sort of thing, to actually take where there is a student demand. There are obviously teachers willing to teach these things, and a legislator and legislators who understand the importance of career tech education. We used to call it voc-ed in my day, but that was automotive repair and wood shop, as I recall, and nothing ever more sophisticated. And we need to bring these things to reality, as Deborah suggested, through a combination of both bottom-up demand and top-down policy and resources.
Over the next couple of weeks, Dr. Brownson and I will kind of focus on our next steps. We think that building the coalition is one step. We've talked about having some kind of coalition of PEG stations around the area to be able to bring public access TV as a change agent into this equation. And so we are going to be talking about how we can raise funds. We hope the foundation community will look kindly upon this work and continue to fund us. Hopefully together we can take those steps, because we need to take those steps. We need to take them damn fast. Otherwise, we're going to be hopelessly behind the rest of the world in digital media. Thank you all, one and all. Thanks to the teachers. Thanks to the students. Thank you, Dr. Brownston, my partner. Thanks to my panel. We will hopefully see you in the near future talking about how we've implemented this wonderful program, the Digital Arts Partnership Program, throughout many, many schools. Thank you.